Hello, welcome. My name's Andy. We're going to have a look at another passage from the book of Matthew today, Matthew 23, verses 1 to 12. Okay, if you don't know this, have a look at the Bible passage first. I'll describe it as we go, but if you want to read it, there's a link to the text in the notes below. Okay, so this is another passage where Jesus is having a bit of a battle with the religious authorities of the day, shortly before his crucifixion. Okay, now the passage, Matthew makes it really clear that this passage is addressed to two different groups of people. It's addressed to the crowds and to the disciples. Okay, now what that means, because it's addressed to the crowds, there's some good news in this. This is an introductory message. This is preaching the gospel. So there's good news contained in here. This is an attractive thing that will make people want to follow Jesus. It's also addressed to the disciples, those who have already chosen to follow. Therefore, there's an element of teaching us how to behave. Okay, now he starts off by saying that you shouldn't place heavy loads on people's backs and not lift a finger to help them. Not literally. No, you shouldn't do that either. But he's talking about religious baggage, expectations that you have to behave a certain way or look a certain way or be a certain sort of person to fit in. Jesus has no truck with any of that. The implication is to follow Jesus, you come as you are. It's an easy, burden-free way of existence. It's good news. Part of following Jesus is letting go of stuff that weighs you down and uncovering your true self, letting go of addictions and burdens and things that distract you. It's a process of letting go and just enjoying life in its fullness. So don't add any extra expectations onto people. That's what Jesus is saying here. Okay, second thing, it takes a bit of understanding what the culture was at the time to make sense of this, but he says he criticises people for having broad phylacteries and long tassels. Now what that means, Jewish people do this to this day. A phylactery is a little leather box which contains little mini scrolls of the Torah, the holy text, the first 5 books of the Bible. We would have that today. And they were tiny little ones wrapped up, just key verses, and you'd have one of these boxes strapped to your forehead and one of them strapped to your arm. I'm not sure which arm it was, I think it was your right arm, so that you carry around the scripture with you all day long. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Jesus is just criticising people who make their phylacteries particularly big. So people who like to show off how religious they are. That's the heart of this. Similarly with the tassels, people wore a sort of scarf over their head when they prayed, and at the end of it you had tassels. And apparently some people would have long tassels, which was a way of drawing attention to the fact that they were prayerful. So again, this is a temptation that sort of affects us today too. We, as Christians, when we get together, there's a natural tendency, well there is for me, I don't know, you're probably better than me, there's a natural tendency to want to show off a bit, to prove that you've got it right, to prove that you've got your religion sorted, whether that means dressing smartly, whether that means praying long prayers, however it may be, there's a temptation to show off a bit about your Christianity, and Jesus is basically saying don't do that. Partly because I think it makes us arrogant. Jesus is all about people being humble. Partly also because it can lead to a bit of an arms race. It can lead to an expectation that you have to behave a certain way. And remember, that's the heart of what Jesus was getting at here, making it easy for people to come and follow him. So that's it. To follow Jesus is it's a burden-free existence. That's not to say it's always easy, but it shouldn't be made harder by people placing expectations on you. Okay, so if you're a follower of Jesus, what this is telling us is we need to be humble, we need to be real, we need to not fake it or show off in any way. And by doing that, we'll hopefully become closer to where the Spirit wants us to be, and we'll experience the true riches of life. It's good news all round. Okay, thank you for listening. I hope that's made sense. Hope to see you in person soon if you're anywhere nearby. But anyway, take care. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.